As you may have already seen from my Rage video on Saturday, I was not a huge fan of the Black Ops 4 multiplayer beta on the Xbox One. I did get a chance to play the PC version on Sunday, and it was a night and day difference between the console version. That being said, while I was having a ton more fun on the PC, and I'll go into the differences more in detail later, there's a fuckload of dumb design decisions that are destroying this game. I don't understand why Treyarch, in their infinite wisdom, decided to take almost all of the most annoying shit from past Call of Duty games and roll them all into this one. I'll break them down individually afterwards, but just listing them out really makes you scratch your head and go, what the fuck were they thinking? Specialists from Black Ops 3, Painkiller or Juggernaut from Modern Warfare 2 or COD 4, kill trading from Infinite Warfare, which by the way they added and subsequently removed since it was such a bad game mechanic, the Riley dog and lack of connection information on the scoreboard from Ghost, fire shotguns and incendiary damage from Call of Duty World War II, the tactical insertion from a lot of the last gen Call of Duties, and finally the long time to kill as well as powerful snipers from Black Ops 2. Thank fuck there's no final stand in the form of Rejack again, although Seraph being able to respawn in S&D via the spawn beacon is a similar shitty idea. I'm sure there's other crap that I missed, but that is a laundry list of absolute nonsense in this iteration of Call of Duty. They also borrowed ideas from other games and implemented them badly, as well as coming up with some new awful ones that fit in the category of, are you fucking kidding me? Like the Fog of War, increased health, the scoreboard being morphed into a useless measuring tool against teammates and enemies, somehow despite showing more information than ever, and forcing players into individual roles via the specialist draft. Stir this all into a giant shit stew and you've got Black Ops 4. The most obvious glaring issue that this game has is the very long time to kill and increase health. This is a sneaky way of forcing players to team fight, that is, to run together as a group in order to achieve those many to one engagements where you need to focus fire on one enemy as a team in order to kill them. It's almost impossible to win a 1v2 in this game, even if your shots are good and the enemy isn't, because of how long it takes to kill players. This is much more pronounced on console, where the skill gap isn't as wide because of the controller versus the keyboard and mouse, but Treyarch was going for a team-oriented game, and this is why they designed the time to kill in this way. It makes individual 1v1 gunfights also super inconsistent when the health is so much. This one issue really exacerbates all of the other bad design decisions, like, for example, the snipers are now ridiculously powerful in this game. It's much more noticeable on PC than in console, especially with the red dot snipers, but when your health is so high, snipers don't have that penalty for missing their first shot because you need to shoot them that much more, so they can have a follow-up shot more often. Plus, the hit flinch is nearly non-existent in this game when it comes to aiming, so it makes for a lot of shoot first, die first, especially against enemy snipers, which gets infuriating to say the least. The hitboxes are pretty generous, and the sniper one-shot kill area is way too big. It needs to be chest and above only as a one-shot kill, as I've been one-shot in the ass, and even Forrest Gump knows that isn't a kill shot. There also needs to be more gun flinch when shot at, because it's like everyone is running toughness now, and it's impossible to knock other people off their aim when you actually get the first shot on them. On top of the already increased health is an almost universally loathed piece of gear called body armor, which gives people even more bullet resistance a la Juggernaut or Painkiller. You can also heal your armor when you manually regen health on top of it. The worst part about this is, although there is a counter with armor-piercing rounds, this attachment isn't available for all weapons. So obviously, only the weapons with armor-piercing rounds will be meta, since you will almost always lose a 1v1 against an armored user even when you shoot first. In fact, you get extra points for killing an armored player. If that doesn't tell you it's overpowered, then you're a fucking douche canoe. The only way I could even think about changing this item to not be overpowered is to make it so unattractive compared to other pieces of gear by doing the following. Give armor-piercing rounds to all weapons. Have the armor only block the very first shot. Not allow it to be replenished when you heal. Only have the armor affect body shots, not headshots. And allowing someone to survive a simple snipe to the chest like Juggernaut, while also making players move slower if they have armor on. Add all that shit up and people probably might not choose it over one of those other pieces of gear. However, this isn't really a solution, since now you have to force players in order to pick armor-piercing rounds on all of their weapons. Besides, we solved this fucking problem 9 goddamn years ago when we got rid of stopping power in Juggernaut. Why the fuck do we have to relive this saga all over again? Back to the long time to kill. It's gotta be lowered or have the health knocked down to 100 instead of 150 to start, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to play Overwatch or Destiny where you need to team fight with your friendlies, otherwise you're gonna be dead. The whole point of Call of Duty is to be a one-person badass if you have more skill than your opponents and wreck their rectums, not this stick-together bullshit. This also brings me to the Fog of War minimap system. It combined with the tracker perk, which seems almost obsolete by the mechanic that allows enemy players to show up on your minimap if they're within your teammate's vision radius. It kills flanking and stealth-based players like myself. What's the point in trying to get away from all of your teammates to get behind or next to an enemy to take them out when, one, you need your teammates in order to help kill the enemy, as I mentioned before, and secondly, the current radius system with the Fog of War means I show up on a player's minimap even if he has no idea I am there. If I happen to be in that cloud radius, guess what? I'm on their fucking minimap now. Not to mention there is no perk that counters me from showing up on the enemy's minimaps in this manner. It essentially kills rushing stealthy players. They're not going to remove it because they probably spent way too many code cycles on an already terabad idea. So the way that I'd fix this is to change the radius to a conical shape going outwards from where the player is facing, because nobody has eyes in the back of their skull. In addition, enemies shouldn't show up on the Fog of War just because they're in a line of sight. A teammate has to be actively shooting at that player for them to show up on the minimap, and on top of that, have one of the perks, be it cold-blooded or ghosts, make you not show up on the Fog of War if you're getting shot at by an enemy player. Obviously, you're going to show up on the minimap if you fire an unsilenced weapon, because that's just how Call of Duty has worked since the dawn of time. One new thing I thought I'd hate, but I actually did end up liking, was the manual health regen. At first, I thought because you had to stick yourself instead of, say, reloading or aiming down sight, that it would make the game really slow paced. But since you could re-heal yourself much faster than ever before, except maybe with Merc's Infusion Payload Rig trait or Advanced Warfare Stim, it means that you can get back into gunfights faster than waiting a few seconds to regenerate your health. Unfortunately, you can't reload while doing this, so it almost negates the faster health if you gotta reload your gun anyways. But I do believe that this mechanic was shoehorned into the game to allow for a specific healer specialist like Crash that can give players full health plus an armor boost. The same goes for the Fog of War mechanic with the recon specialist and the sensor dart. Don't force in game mechanics in order to create just another fucking specialist, which are such a bad idea anyways. I didn't like specialists for Black Ops 3 or Infinite Warfare, and it's even worse now in Black Ops 4 with both the specialist weapons on a cooldown and now a specialist piece of gear that's also on a cooldown. Sure, there's no grenade spam like in Call of Duty World War II because the Pick-10 system actually allows for the trade-offs of grenades and tacticals, unlike giving every player each one piece of equipment, but the specialist piece of gear that doesn't even take up a slot in the Pick-10 system, mind you, is much more powerful than an individual grenade or flashbang. Yes, it's on a cooldown, but a lot of things in that gear slot make a huge impact to the game, like Prophet's Shock Seeker drone, which lasts for way too fucking long, the Ajax's 9-bang, which not only flashes your screen, but nearly immobilizes your character, Firebreak's Reactor Core, that's a literal menopausal hot flash wallbang, which doesn't allow you to heal up afterwards, along with any incendiary ammo, which means that you can hit somebody with a fire shotgun, then swap to your primary to finish them off because they literally cannot heal, especially without even a Battlefield 1-esque counter of stop, dropping, and rolling, or Seraph's Spawn Beacon as a tactical insertion, which in objective game modes is absolutely ridiculous. But I guess that means we might end up seeing some boosting bitches after all in this game. Speaking of spawns, they're pretty fucking awful at times, which is kind of strange considering that it's only a 5v5 or it's sometimes a quote chaotic 6v6, and that respawn menu is yet another waste of screen real estate when I should just press a respawn button, or if there's a spawn beacon, make it yet another fucking button. But back to specialists, the fact that you can only choose one per team is a fucking joke, especially if you're not playing in the competitive playlist. The normal rationale for only having one specialist per team is to have different specialists coordinate together to strike a really good competitive meta, yet you could pick any weapon set that you want in your creative class, so it really negates that design point because in most class-based shooter games, having a healer isn't good offensively. A tank that soaks up bullets doesn't really have offensive firepower, and a squishy that deals a lot of damage doesn't have a lot of health or defense to help you out. It's such a half-ass system to put in this type of game. The specialist abilities combined with the specialist equipment means that there's so much extra stupid-ass beepity bops to get killed by that it dilutes the game into managing your ultimates instead of actually winning gunfights and going on actual kill streaks, which are pretty decent for what they are, even though they cost too much. But when you get other insta-kills for free over time, they feel very underwhelming. Giving someone an ability to zip around the map and panic grab slam or worm squirm shield with a built-in fucking guardian 3 or 4 times a game is Sifagana Hepa Herpa aids to play against. The last thing in the complaint department is the console version compared to the PC version. Holy shit! The Xbox One beta was borderline unplayable. Sub 60 FPS at almost all times, including plummeting through the floor when entering hectic areas on objectives with gunfights, textures that make kids' kindergarten drawings look like they should belong in a museum, and the god-awful menu design with the cursor that is Destiny-esque. Seriously, why the fuck did the menu system need to get changed? There was nothing wrong with it. In the 14 previous titles, well, besides Call of Duty World War II, which introduced the left and right bumper scrolling nonsense, yet you now put a PC menu on the console? There's fucking aim assist on the goddamn selections. You know that shit is bad when you have to put that on your menu system in order to not make it a clunky piece of shit, but then it makes it an even clunkier pile of garbage. Not to mention, the game plays so much slower on console. Every single game of, quote, chaos deathmatch, whether it was either TDM or kill confirmed, despite the fact that it was 6v6 in a game designed for 5v5, went to a time limit or finished in the last minute of the match almost every single goddamn game. The PC version felt like a near finished product, aside from some weird issues with stuttering and getting the game actually recorded with OBS, whereas the console version felt like I was playing on the Xbox 360 all over again. There is very little I liked about this game, the few things being the movement mechanics, along with the reloading while sprinting and decent but not great map design, but there's so much other bullshit that completely ruins the experience that I can only have fun if I'm in a lobby where the other team is so fucking bad that I could just laugh off being killed by a specialist ability because, hey, at least those window lickers actually got a fucking kill. Any type of semi-competitive match results in nearly full NaCl levels almost instant fucking taneously. Long time to kill, having to manually regen health and reload separately since you can't get more than 2 kills without having to do so due to the amount of bullets you need to use, watching your minimap more than your actual field of view for random red dots showing up on it because they're in the line of sight of some teammate across the map but somehow might have a line of sight on you, dodging out of the way of specialist gear and abilities, forcing you to fight with your team instead of going on a flank to get to the objective. It all makes for a disaster of an experience. There's no way in hell I'm getting the Xbox One version of this game. It's an unmitigated pile of shit, and there needs to be significant changes to the PC version in order for me to buy it. Right now, it's a buy when on sale after launch because I want to see how this game behaves. Plus, I know there will be all that micro DLC Activision spelt with a $ cash grabbing. I mean, hey, they even made a fucking game mode where the objective is to grab a bag of money. How more obvious can it be? Anyways, what do you guys think about the beta? Let me know in the comment section down below. I've been TheSchwanz27, making like a dick and beating it. Until next time.